Welcome to the Snazzy Sage Podcast. I'm Dr. Kerry, your host and coach. Each week, I chat with remarkable guests who are thriving in their next chapter with confidence, purpose, and style. Because the next chapter isn't about age, it's all about attitude. Let's dive in. Today, I am thrilled to be joined by the hilarious Carl Guerra. Carl got his start in the New York comedy scene, performing at legendary clubs like the Comic Strip and Dangerfields. Over the years, he's taken his comedy around the world, entertaining audiences on cruise ships, at corporate events, country clubs, and stages nationwide. Along the way, Carl has opened for icons such as Julio Iglesias, Joan Rivers, Paul Anka, and the Four Tops. He's a seasoned performer with stories that are just as entertaining as his stand-up. Carl, I'm so excited to have you here. Let's start with you. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
About myself, I'm the fifth of 10 children of immigrants from Colombia, but my father was half Italian, and I grew up in a town called Hicksville, Queens and Long Island, about a half hour east of Manhattan. Then I went to college, and I started going to open mic nights. And then after college, I got a real job. I was a rep for a big company card, expense account. And it gave me the liberty at night to go to the comedy clubs, first on Long Island for a couple of years. And then I moved to Queens and then into Manhattan. And then I got to the Manhattan clubs. I was able to get to a point where I quit the day job. And then I took a risk. You always say, got to take a risk, jump and the net will be there, hopefully. So I took that jump, and then I was working just comedy clubs. And at that time, I was in my mid-20s, late 20s. That was my market, comedy clubs, mostly in the New York metro area, and then colleges. And then I got a little older. My parents moved to South Florida, and I'd always come down to visit them in the winters. And after 4 years of doing that, I said, every time I come to Florida, I'm always getting more work. So I moved to Florida, and I started working in the cruise lines. And that's my main market now, but I also do different events, street clubs, 55 and over communities, different events. And I still do some comedy clubs, not a lot, mostly regional. And that's the best. I still enjoy what I'm doing. I've been doing this a long time, and I still really have a passion for getting up on a stage and making people laugh.
And you're not just a comedian, there's also music. Can you talk to us about your performance? How do you blend music and comedy into it?
Well, I started playing the violin when I was a kid. Then I switched to trumpet, and I started playing the guitar regularly when I was in my middle teens, early teens. But I had been doing stand-up for about 3 or 4 years before I even started using it in my show. And now it's a good 15, 20% of my show. Sometimes on a ship, I'll have to do different shows. So I'll use that for one show where I do some musical stuff. I do song parodies, do a lot of classic rock stuff, Eagles, Beatles, and I play regular songs also on my own. I've used it in the act very successfully, and I try to write stuff for the younger crowd also. I'm not as familiar with the newer music as I am with the older classic rock stuff, but I've been like I watched the MTV Video Awards last night, most of it. And I'm doing jokes about Post Malone and Jelly Roll and Bad Bunny.
Oh, that's great.
Bad Bunny's father is Peter Rabbit. A lot of people don't know that. So I try to incorporate some musical stuff. It breaks you up as a comedian. It makes you different from all the other comedians.
What are some of the topics that you talk about in your comedy routine?
I love doing autobiographical, talking about my relationship with my parents, with my siblings, my relationship now with my son and with my wife. And I love talking about technology. And I do some topical, but I love writing something that everyone sees, and I do it that night. To give you an example, the ship I was on last week was out of Boston, and it was up to Canada and New England. And the majority of the crowd, there were boomers and seniors. And as they were getting on the ship, there was a drug dog sniffing their bags. And these people, the only drug they're going to have are Ozempic.
You're a comedic genius because you can take an idea and quickly develop it into a joke. What's your style for taking a premise and developing it into a joke for your routine?
I have a notion something will strike me as funny, and then maybe I'll jot it down, and then I'll mull it over in my head. I don't really write anything verbatim. I kind of outline, and I'll work it out in my head, and then I'll just try it in front of an audience and then tweak it. For instance, a new bit that I've been doing is with telemarketers, how I get calls by telemarketers, and most people hate having to deal with a telemarketer. I love it because I get to practice my improvisational comedy skills. So when I see a telemarketer calling, I go, yes! And I just say whatever popped into my head. And that was an idea, and then that was the premise, and then I thought of ways to work that premise. And what I came up with was, I love it when telemarketers call me, because they'll call, hey, Mr. Guerra, hi, we'd like to talk to you about the storm windows. I'll say, sure, just a minute. I'm very interested. I'm at work. Just give me a second. Hang on a second. Delta Flight 2715. This is Miami Control Tower. Please proceed to vector point Alpha Bravo Zulu down to 3,000 feet, and you are cleared to land on runway 2900. Yeah, so tell me about your storm windows. Yeah, wait, hang on a second. Delta Flight 2715. I said 3,000, you're at 1,000. Pull up, please. Yeah, I'm interested in storm. Wait, Delta Flight 2715, you're at 500. Pull up. Ah, damn. About your storm windows. Or Mr. Guerra, hi, I want to talk to you about your car's extended warranty. Oh, yeah, sure. Hang on a second. I'm at work. I'm a manager of a bank, and we're being robbed right now, and I'm hiding underneath my desk. But yeah, I'm interested in extending my car's warranty. But it's beginning a big laugh for me. But the point is, I had that germ of an idea, having fun with telemarketers. I came up with different scenarios.
That's fantastic. And Carl, you were right in the heart of New York comedy during the boom, open mic, late night sets, and you've worked with legendary names who are now household stars. Who are some of the comedians that you started with, and who stands out the most?
Well, on Long Island, there used to be a place called the White House Inn in Massapequa, Long Island, and it was started by a guy named Richard LaRue, but he legally changed his name to Richard M. Dixon because he was a Richard Nixon lookalike. And he made a lot of money on the college circuit as a Nixon impersonator. And then after Nixon left office, he took his money and he started a nightclub called the White House Inn. And that's where I started performing when I was in the late 70s. And I used to do open mic nights there once or twice a week with Rosie O'Donnell. I remember Eddie Murphy used to go there when he was like 16.
Wow.
Yeah. And then in the business, a lot of people in the comedy business are well known. Bob Nelson, Jackie Martlin, they used to perform there regularly. And a lot of the people that I used to work with are either full-time comics, or a lot of them have moved on to producing and television writing, which I thought that was the direction I thought I was going to go, but it didn't happen. I'm still performing after all these decades. And then I moved into Manhattan clubs. And then at the comic strip in New York, I used to do open mic nights there, late night comedy. When you started out in the club, they would put you on late night at 1 in the morning in front of 4 or 5 people. And I used to do that with the people like Silverman was there at the time, Louis C.K., Adam Sandler. That was back in early 80s.
Those are just all great names, and it's amazing that you've performed alongside them. And as I read your bio, you opened for Julio Iglesias, the Four Tops, Joan Rivers. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I got hired by the house, not by the artist. But it's great when you open up for a big star and a big venue, because there's a lot of credibility as the opening act. And I've opened up for Patti LaBelle, and then people are paying a high ticket price to come in. So the audience wants to get their money worth. I call them push button crowds, because there's high credibility, and they're paying a decent price to come in. They're listening, they're attentive. You just push the button in the right places and they laugh. They're great gigs. I wish I could do more of those type of gigs. I've been hired by the house to open up for the artists coming in. Sometimes I'll need a house will need to hire an opening act, but I would love to be hired by the artist and actually do a tour with them as their opening act for a summer or whatever. That's actually my dream gig.
I love it. And I know comedy has changed over the years. What have you seen in the comedy market?
It's different now. I watch some of the younger comics, and it's interesting because they tell longer stories, whereas comedians from my generation were more quick premise, stick to a punchline, as opposed to younger comics telling longer stories. And a lot of them are pretty dirty, too. I personally like to work clean because I differentiate myself from other comedians that way. Plus, you work more, you can work different markets. I've always been the clean, nice guy, clever guy.
So I want to ask about social media. What impact has social media had on comedy?
It's interesting because I'm not big on social media. I'm on Facebook, Carl Guerra, and I've got maybe over 1,000 followers on that. And then I put myself on Insta. It's interesting, as a comedian, I don't really work that many comedy clubs, but if you call a comedy club, I was referred to one. And the first thing the guy wanted to know was how many followers I had on Insta. He didn't want to know anything about my comedy, my style, anything. He just wanted to know how many followers I had, which I don't quite understand, because I told them, I've got 500,000 followers, and they're all in Rochester, but not one is going to fly down to Clearwater, Florida to see me at your club. And that's what I don't get. I lost a corporate gig once because the agent told me that they really liked me, but the other comedian had 5,000 followers on Insta. And I didn't understand it because it was a private corporate event. What difference does it make? Then she explained to me, well, because that comedian will put their brand on his Insta, their logo, and they'll get some more followers. Okay, I should hire somebody to do all that for me. I haven't built up my social media. And I've worked with many comedians who are constantly posting and constantly networking on social media and getting new followers and then plugging it on their shows. I don't do that. I'm old school.
It's a full-time job.
Yes, but you can tell a club owner, hey, I've got, 10,000 followers.
That's true. That's what they're looking for, which is really, different today than it was years ago. Well, hey, the only way to go from here is up, and there's lots of opportunity. And I heard once that cruise ship comics, you have to have an hour clean show and an hour dirty show. Is that true?
Yes and no, depends on the cruise line. The line I was on last week, I had to do one 45-minute family show in the theater, and then 3 nights later, a different 45-minute adult show, but not over the top, soft R. And then on other cruise lines, you'll have to do 2 different 30-minute adult shows and a completely different 30-minute family show. So even if you're a young comic who's got about 45 minutes to an hour, maybe, you will write stuff when you get on a ship. You'll say, oh, that's funny. And it's interesting because I see comedians in the past several years, there've been a lot of new hires onto the cruise ship lines. And I'll see comedians doing jokes that I dropped 20 years ago. But it's just because they have the same comedic sensibility. They're seeing something on the ship that, oh, that's funny. I can do this in my act. I tell I was doing that when you were in high school.
Speaking of high school, this is a great transition. Can you share one of my favorite jokes that you've done about X and Y?
Oh, yeah. I talk about, it's kind of based on truth, about how when I was growing up, I was terrible in math. I really was. Once I got to the higher levels of math, let X be this, let Y be that. I don't care. I'm a progressive guy. Let X and Y be whatever they want to be. I was good in English. Remember, we had the 5 vowels. They were A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y. You know how come it was sometimes Y? Because Y had a part-time job in a math problem. They would call him in the morning. Can you be a vowel today? No, I got to solve for X. Call me next week. Call my agent.
Working in higher education, I absolutely love that joke. Wanted to transition and just talk about some Snazzy and Sage questions that we like to ask every guest. How do you view aging?
I turned 66 over the summer, but I don't feel 66.
You look amazing.
I'm very energetic. Thank you. I watch what I eat. I exercise regularly. I cycle. I swim. I jump rope. I run. I stretch. Then I have a positive attitude. Always try to maintain a positive attitude. And if I find myself getting depressed, like everyone, I try to think of more positive things. I'm always reading, always trying to learn new things by reading, writing, watching programs, trying to stay abreast of the cultural zeitgeist, if you will. So that helps me in my head, keep me young. And what's interesting, this is my COVID hair. I used to color when I was in my late 50s, early 60s. And when the pandemic hit, I stopped coloring. I didn't expect this, but here I am. And I'm the Latin Jay Leno.
But it's a great set of hair.
Yeah, thank you. It's all real. Still got all my hair. What's interesting about this color hair is that on occasion, I do audition for commercials and print ads. I have been getting called more and I booked more because I have white hair. I moved into a different casting category, the active senior role. So like last year, I did a print ad for Humana. I did a national commercial for Rocket Mortgage as the grandfather, the young grandfather.
Carl, what makes you excited, or how do you find joy?
I love challenging myself and learning new things. I'm always reading, and I love watching Jeopardy because I'm always learning something new when I watch Jeopardy. And if I don't know the answer, if it's something I'm not familiar with at all, I'll Google it and research it a little bit. I love learning new things. Yeah,
and it keeps your brain busy, which is so important as we age.
Exactly. And I love being a father, watching my son have successes in his life that he's enjoying right now. So I love that. That brings me great joy. And watching my nieces and nephews also grow and develop into outstanding people.
That's terrific. Well, here at Snazzy and Sage, we're all about fashion. What's your go-to style piece?
Well, when I perform, I like to wear blazers. I like to wear jackets. I'm old school. Like a jacket with a T-shirt or a nice shirt. Jeans or khakis with loafers and a polo shirt or just a regular nice casual shirt when I'm off stage. But when I'm on stage, I like to look sharp.
Where can someone connect with you or find you on social media?
No, I'm Carl Guerra. .com is my website, and also on Facebook. And my last name means war in Spanish. Guerra. And incidentally, my real name is not Carl. Carl, just my working name. My real name is Carlos. So carloscomedy.com is my website. Or countryandyachtclubcomedy.com. It redirects to the same site. And on Facebook, I'm Carl Guerra, Guerra.
Carl, what's next for you?
I used to think long term. Now I think more short term. For me, the short term is more just to keep on working and keep on writing and keep on learning new things and enjoying what I do. I'm 66 and I have absolutely no desire or intention of retiring until the phone stops ringing. Pursue your passion. You'll never work a day in your life. Mark Twain. It's one of my favorite sayings.
That's true. Carl, you look amazing. 60 is the new 40, so you've got a long runway.
Yeah, I hope so.
Is there anything else you'd like to share?
That's it, Kerry. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Thank you for tuning in to Snazzy Sage. If you loved today's episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend. Want to elevate your style and confidence? Visit snazzyandSage.com to explore individual and group coaching that helps you look and feel your best from the inside out. Until next time, stay snazzy.